What's up, everybody? It's week 11, man. I cannot believe that this fantasy season is flying like this. It's crazy. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo here, as always, the alternative edge, like we do every Sunday morning. Get you ready for fantasy football, for DFS, for your betting, and this is just a value show, man. It's all about value. So we're gonna get hyped up and talk about some value on the show. Where do you find the value? We're gonna top the sorry, as I'm going through my shares here, because that's what you gotta do when you're a self promoter, right? My man Adam checking in fantasy football. Let's go, birds. You got it right. I'm wearing it, Adam. I'm wearing it for tonight. My man Japan, let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's get it. As always. And again, listen, I want to touch on a few things right off the bat because I've been getting a lot of questions. I'll tell you what, man. There is, because I'm old. I'll say this, because I am old, and I'm learning the whole TikTok generation a little bit, man. The TikTok generation is crazy, but I'll tell you what, man. They're there. They're there, man. So, so I got some people hopefully coming over from TikTok, been blowing up on TikTok, having fun, getting some good comments, getting some good engagement, getting some good interaction. And I'm learning all these platforms as I go along. Okay. So bear with me a little bit as we continue to grow this thing right here. As always, sponsored by BetQL. Make sure you get that. Again, 15% off with the code word Jigsaw. I'm going to show you what you get on the specific apps, share the screen with you because you have betql.com, which is all for your betting statistics. But my favorite is the RotoQL, which is the DFS model, which I'm going to show you because the app is out of this world. It really is. I will show it to you guys. I don't like to prop something up I don't believe in, but I really like the way they're building this. Again, they rebranded. It's just a really fun app to get everything in your fingertips all in one spot. So we're going to continue to build on that. So let's get right into some fantasy football storylines of this week. And that's the biggest thing. What are the storylines for this week? What are the storylines again for today? And right off the bat, because I was getting a ton of questions on TikTok about Parker Washington, because everybody knows I was a Parker Washington guy 2 weeks ago. See, that's the one thing right here with Tony Jigsaw Cutillo on the alternative edge. You're going to get the trends before their trends. The players that everybody's picking up now running to the waiver wire. I told you 2 weeks ago. Okay, you're real when you can do that. And I told you 2 weeks ago. And the people congratulations, that picked them up. Congratulations. So, again, BTJ out this week. Now, we talked all week. He's got the ankle injury. He's going to be able to play. High ankle injury sprains are tough. They are tough. I tell people this all the time. It's almost like you talk to some of these players like a broken freaking ankle. So I didn't think he was going to play. He limited snaps all week. And even if he was game time, like I told everybody, I'm not trusting that ankle right now. Not trusting it. He's out anyway. So insert Parker Washington Jr. I know everybody loves Jacoby Myers. I get it. He's still learning the system. And Parker Washington was relevant even when Brian Thomas Jr. was healthy. Parker Washington was relevant when Travis Hunter was healthy. So as a wide receiver 1A or 1B, whatever him and Jacoby play, it's still going to help Parker Washington be a consistent offensive option for Liam Cohen. I love it. Like, again, it's going to win you a Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. But on a week-to-week basis, this is the guy you can really look at to give you consistent production. So BTJ out. Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta ends up on injured reserve. So I guess we're rolling with Brock Wright. We're rolling with Brock Wright out there. But look, just scheme it down a little bit and understand what that means for the offense in Detroit. Sam Laporta is a big part of that offense. I'm going to be honest with you. People don't, whether he's catching the ball or not, he's a big part of that offense. Because it's like Dallas Goedert is in Philadelphia is like Sam Laporta is in Detroit. And the thing is, they're going to have to make some changes. Now, one thing I will say, what this could be good news for is Jameson Williams owners. Because JMO is an inconsistent guy. You see him get involved again last week, but I think now Dan Campbell knows you don't have that big route running seam tight end, you got to go in with your next guy, which is going to be JMO. And I like JMO this week against Philadelphia. I like JMO just because I think he's going to be more heavily involved. And I think this could just elevate his target share throughout the game because they're not going to throw. Listen, we're not throwing to Brock Wright 10 times or 10 targets, 8 to 10 targets like support. It's just not happening, right? It's just not happening. So again, we'll get into that, more storylines, something to really, really, really look into. But again, I pinpoint JMO for that. Season's over for J.K. Dobbins. Everybody was waiting for it, unfortunately. We knew it was only a matter of time. He gave us a really good 9 to 10 weeks. Now he's done. Everybody who drafted RJ Harvey, everybody who picked up RJ Harvey, again, I will say this because I ain't afraid to be modest here, okay, or cocky and confident. Told you guys how many weeks ago? Just go on TikTok and told me when it was going to be the breakout RJ Harvey week, right? I know everybody wants to bash me for Brashad Smith, even though I said Brashad Smith by the end of the year, we're still in week 11, but I was in on RJ Harvey, said, hold on to this guy, in on Woody Marks, hold on to this guy, and look what's happening. Again, look what's happening in week 11. These are going to be the guys that are going to ride you to the promised land. Why Chase Brown's giving you crap, why Kenneth Williams is giving you crap, why Derrick Henry is inconsistent. The guys that are going to help you produce are going to be the guys you had to draft and stash and hold on to and listen, and now you have been rewarded. So congratulations. Listen, Brock Purdy, Ricky Pearsall expected to play in week 11. We heard that earlier. So again, a lot of interesting questions going into this week because you're fighting for your playoff lives, a lot of you, right? You have to remember that. Week 11, you probably got a good 3 to 4 weeks left of really battling it out, right? Lot of stuff going on. My man Vegas checking in says, what's up? What's good, Vegas? My man drop AJ Brown. Japan says, man, AJ Brown, like I don't even want to talk about. I'm so tired of that dumb shit. I really am. My man JD checking in says, great TD pick for throw us up there. Great TD pick for Colston Loveland. Kudos for Japan. Japan's always on it, bro. That's why I love this. This is a community stream when we do this on Sunday mornings. It's not just about me. It's about everybody chipping in, man. Like, you get Japan throws you that. He was in on Cam Little a couple weeks ago, hit that thing in the second quarter. Right? He's always dropping a goal on UFC. Right. So you get a lot more than just my old ugly mug on this show, right? You get a lot more to talk about. Again, does Loveland continue this week? I don't know, man. I do like that game, though. I do like that game. I think there's a lot to go around in that game. We're going to get into that, right? We're going to get into that. Let's get right into my favorite DFS plays of the week. Now, I want to say this. When I say DFS, right, daily fantasy sports, I just want to explain to everybody why I love using this as a baseline. I use DFS value as a baseline. This show is called The Alternative Edge. The reason why it's an alternative way of thinking. What I've always done is used my trending stats and values and monetary values for that matter of DFS to parlay into my betting tickets and my streamline options. That's what I've always done, and I'll continue to do. And it's been working for me, and it continues to work for me. And again, it's not for everybody, but you can pick out those nuggets in there. So again, that's why I love BetQL. They're giving me the opportunity to partner with them. I love RotoQL because if you guys remember from the SiriusXM days, which I still should be on, by the way, but when the SiriusXM days, and I was hosting on Sunday nights for on the Win Daily Show, which I'm sure they miss me now. Whatever. I love saying that. But anyway, on the SiriusXM days, what I would do is we would talk about the models and what did the models say, kind of bake out those, take those values out of those models and put them in. And it was a Win Daily model, right? Well, now it's a RotoQL model. Japan, I won't say that, but I get it, bro. Like, I don't, I don't understand, dog. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I don't understand. I will be. Can I be fully transparent? Like I always am with you guys. I don't hold nothing back. So I was really pissed off in August because I had an opportunity. I got a call, and it has nothing to do with Sirius, by the way. Nothing. This has nothing to do with Sirius. Okay. I have a great relationship with Sirius XM. Hopefully, be back on there soon. Great relationship with Jacob. But I got a message about something from a specific outlet that was going to do a show, and they needed a host. And they talked to me, and this is why I love Sirius, because I was the first guy that their program director thought of. I was like, hey, you got to hit Tony up, see what Tony's doing. So that show, I'm going to be honest with you, was supposed to be 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Sunday nights. This specific show that I was asked to host. So everything was good. We agreed on terms. Everything was flowing. And then all of a sudden, I found out that the show's not going to happen. And I'm going to be honest with you. They said that now the show was going to slide into a different slot, which at that time was either going to be I think it was going to be a Friday night slot. I'm going to be honest with you. I choose family over sports. Okay. So at that time, what happened was I dropped out. Right. I dropped out because I didn't want to give up my family time on Friday and Saturday nights. So I was like, I'm out. Sorry, can't do it. If Sunday becomes available, let me know. Well, come to find out, how I have no idea how who's again 9 to 11 on Sunday nights now. I have no idea where that came from. I don't know what who's getting bribed. I have no idea, but I'm shocked. I'm totally shocked. All I can tell you is I apologize to the audience because I would have gave you a much better show on Sunday nights from 9 to 11. Just throwing it out there. However, let's get involved in week 11. Okay, let's get involved right off the bat with my favorite DFS plays. Okay, let's throw these up right here. So these are my DFS players to watch. Okay, and again, this is sponsored as always by BetQL. Okay, and BetQL is bets. They run the entire thing, but they segment over to DFS with their RotoQL models. Okay, totally separate subscription. However, code word Jigsaw 50% off. I will tell you how awesome it is on the app. It's one thing that I hated when I was with Win Daily and I was promoting there was no app. The app was terrible, right? There was no app. The mobile was terrible. This app, fantastic. And I'm not going to lie. I will show it to you on my phone, okay, when we're done. So right off the bat, again, get over there, the RotoQL, code word Jigsaw, get you 15% off. You can do monthly, you can do quarterly, you can do yearly, whatever it is. If you want a free trial, I think I can get you a 3-day trial. You got to hit me up, let me know, and I'll get you hooked up with a 3-day trial, okay? So, number one, let's go. I talked about him earlier. Let's go Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones at 5,500, right? I don't, Japan's like, I don't ever play DFS. I just like to hear Tony talk ball. But you know what? It is Japan. Here's the funny thing. I use the DFS. You don't see me post these big DFS tickets. I'm going to be honest with you. But I use DFS to parlay into the values of the bets. That's what I do. Right? Like I really do. That's my system. I'm not going to lie. That's my system. I don't hold nothing back. Okay. So Aaron Jones, 5,500 again this week in Minnesota. Now, obviously, we're targeting that Minnesota-Chicago game. And I said this on Thursday. I love Aaron Jones because he's healthy now. And KOC talked about this before. Fantastic offensive mastermind. And you're seeing now he's saying, look, I have two running backs. I have a bruiser in Jordan Mason, who's been very underwhelming from a fantasy perspective. But I also have Aaron Jones. That's a fantastic route runner, great in space, and understands how to get open for my young quarterback, JJ McCarthy. So now that Aaron Jones is healthy, Now he's going to be able to get those 10 to 12 to 13 touches a game, where you're talking probably, I mean, he's been getting 8 to 9 attempts. I don't think he'll get double digit run attempts, but he's averaging 7 yards per carry. And then he's going to get those 2 to 4 targets out of the backfield that are going to turn into catches, because he's damn near 100% target to catch ratio. So he's a very, very, at 5,500. That's the thing. You have to look at that at 5,500. And the reason why it's a value is because you're talking about 9,000 for Christian McCaffrey, right? You're talking about 9,000 for Christian McCaffrey. He's got a projected score of 16, where I can get Aaron Jones and drop down $4,000 or 3,500, right? I could drop down 3,500 and still get double digit points, and then use that 3,500 to build lobs otherwhere, right? If you're playing the DFS ticket. But I love Aaron Jones, and you'll see he's in my betting picks too. I think against the Chicago defense, he'll be able to exploit it. It's going to be a high tempo type of game, and I think there's going to be a lot of dump downs for JJ McCarthy. You saw last week that JJ's still not 100% accurate yet, still not 100% back from injury. So I think KOC will simplify things a little bit more. And again, remember, when you open up that short passing game, that opens up the long passing game to guys like Addison and Justin Jefferson and even TJ Hockenson, as you'll see, as right there. Let's get right to it. As you know, as TJ Hockenson, as a $3,000 tight end, $3,000 tight end, right? I mean, think about that. $3,000 for TJ Hockenson. Now, why do I love TJ Hockenson? First of all, I love the game. All right, I love the game setup. The game script is there. TJ Hockenson is turning back into less than a touchdown dependent tight end, and he started to get more consistent looks. And I'm going to be honest with you, that's how I like. He's not going to be high on people's lists. I understand that, but he's coming off an injury-plagued season. He's played 9 games so far, right? And you have to be at least happy to see him continue to be involved. Now, obviously, week 5 and 7 were big weeks. Actually, weeks 3, 4, 5, and 7, where he got 5+ targets. Last 2 weeks, only seeing 5 total. However, in this game, that defense is obviously going to look to stop the best player in Justin Jefferson, and obviously going to look to stop Aaron Jones out of the backfield. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to put pressure on JJ McCarthy. So your best safety valve against pressure is going to be your tight end. So for $3,000, TJ Hockenson could be a top 10 tight end this week for $3,000. And that's where I'm rolling with them right there. So that's why I like it. Muth has to have good games versus, I like Freiermuth too, Vegas. I love Freiermuth. Japan says, your system works. Don't ever switch it up. Listen, not only does it work, Japan, but I'm very transparent about it. Like, I got nothing to hide. That's the thing. This is exactly what I do. I'm not hiding behind numbers and scientific theories and this and that. That's not my game. Some people are great in that space, man. Right? Some people are great in that. That guy, John, I always say that I was doing stuff with at Sharp and Win Daily. Sensational. Dude's amazing. Right? Amazing. But that's his living. Right? That's why, like, I do this part-time. He does that full-time. He has to do that, right? So I this is no knock against them. This is no knock against them at all. Right? So you have Aaron Jones, you have TJ Hockenson. Let's get into guys, I like those juicy quarterbacks, right? Those, I've been hitting on guys, whether it be Jacoby Brissett, right? We hit on him at 4,500. Let's go Davis. Yes, Davis Mills. And before you throw shade on Davis Mills and this pick, and you go and say, that game's setting up to be terrible. That game, listen. Just, this is one of those games, I think, that it's gonna slide under the radar as a pretty good offensive game. It is. Now, you're starting to see the evolution of the Texans offense with the running game with Woody Marks. You're starting to see it. Nico Collins finally healthy. You're seeing guys like Jalen Noel and Higgins get involved in the game. They're really starting to expand. It took them some time, but it's happening. D'Amico Ryan this week couldn't glow more about how we got to get Woody Marks more involved. Listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. If they didn't think Woody Marks was going to be a big factor this week, I think CJ Stroud would be starting. But again, it's Davis Mills. And they're like, look, we get Davis Mills in there to give us some decent play. Listen, guys, he threw up a 30-piece last week. And I know that was different because he had 45 attempts and went to overtime and all that. I don't think that's going to happen. However, you mean to tell me that Davis Mills can't give you 250 and 2 touchdowns this week? Listen, I think one of them is going to be thrown to Woody Marks. I think they're going to involve him a lot out of the backfield. I'm telling you, man, I talked about it. He's going to go from a 50-50 to 65-35 this week. He's going to be involved a lot, and I think that bodes well for Davis Mills. 4,500 for Davis Mills. He essentially could be on your bingo card where you're cashing a DFS ticket because of Davis Mills. And I'm not saying to start him in season long. This is all about DFS and the betting game. And then you look at him and go over to the betting game, go over to the betting market, look at his attempts, look at his completions, look at his yardage, look at his touchdowns. I guarantee you it's probably plus money for over 1.5 for him to throw 2 touchdowns. This is where the value comes in. So I love Davis Mills at the value. Again, at the value. And I'm speaking to my TikTok generation too. Please. And I'm trying to train my son in this too. It's not always about stats, bro. It's not. I know you want to look in all these stats and go to all these charts and hit me up on TikTok and be like, well, this guy's averaging 24.2%. Throw that shit in a frigging trash can, dog. Like, again, I don't care. I'm not looking at that. Yes, does it prove some kind of credibility? Sure. But do you even know what the hell you're reading? Do you even know what the hell you're looking at? No. What I'm saying is just understand the coach speak. Read the beat reporters' articles. Give them some goddamn credit, okay? Look at the stuff and figure out. Listen, it's very simple. If a guy talks about a guy a lot, he's going to get a 10% spike in opportunity. That 10% spike could turn into 4 to 5 touches. And those 4 to 5 touches could turn into 1 or 2 catches above or 1 or 2 throws above what his betting value is. And that's how I roll. That's what I'm doing. Okay, because that shit that you're talking about, that's great. I don't know what the hell that is. Like you could, like, again, I would love to throw somebody up here. Don't use AI. Don't use a bingo card. Just talk. Tell me what all that shit means. And they can't do it. Right? They can't do it. Some people can, most can't. So that's why I don't roll that route, because I can't. I'm in there and I can't. That's the way I roll. So Davis Mills, 4,500 right there for me. I'm in. I think it's tremendous value. I do. Tremendous value. Now, let's look at 2 interesting plays. Number one. I think this is a Christian Watson week. I know. Everybody's like, no, Jordan Love stinks. Jordan Love doesn't stink. Okay, let's understand something. Jordan Love doesn't stink. Okay, he doesn't stink. Matt LaFleur is one hell of a play caller. And if you watch the game like I did, again, I'm not talking about a game that you watched on the All 22. I'm not talking about a game that you're watching, on quick highlights on ESPN or NFL.com. I'm not talking about the statistics that you dive into. What I'm talking about is watching LaFleur on the sideline, watching the throws that were there that weren't made and dropped, not because of Jordan Love, because either number one, the receiver didn't run the right route, or the receiver just completely dropped the ball. And talk about the pressure that they were getting. The offensive line was holding out for Jordan Love when he got hit a couple times and nicked a couple times on throws that guys were wide open. Jordan Love could have easily had 2 touchdowns in that game, threw for 250 yards, and everybody would have been okay. Right? Everybody, but right now he stinks. He doesn't stink. And the Giants, they're decent. Head coaching change, but this isn't a defensive head coaching change. It's an offensive head coaching game, which is why I'll get to Wandell in a minute. Mike Kafka is an offensive guy. Okay, so the defense is still solid up front, but they're dealing with a lot of different issues in the back. Okay, Jordan Love will come back to where we expect him to be this week. I firmly believe that. Jordan Love, and you can't talk about weather, right? I know it's going to be windy, right? He deals with Lambeau all the time, right? He deals with Lambeau all the time. What you have to look at with Christian Watson is Christian Watson coming back off of injury, right? We know that the knee is not 100%. However, they're definitely inserting him more and more and more, trying to get him acclimated. Okay, like he came back in week 8, he's consistent, 4 targets a game, 4. Hasn't gotten the end zone. However, the knee's getting stronger. He's averaging 25 plus yards per catch. 25 plus yards per catch. So again, this offense is going to have to, without Tucker Kraft, is going to have to get a little more creative. A little more creative. I think they go back, and again, Josh Jacobs was banged up a little bit, right? He still looked good in that game against the Eagles. Run to open up the pass. Run to open up the pass, right? Golden is still questionable. Don't know if he's back. Even if he's back, again, he's not going to be 100%. This is going to be Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson. And for me, and if you're playing DFS, 4,400 with Christian Watson. Look at his numbers in the betting game as well. I think this is a really good Christian Watson week. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to throw the Christian Watson number out there. Okay, I think he's going to get a couple more. Right, to go up 6 from 4 to targets. All right, and then he's going to go up 1 to 5 catches, and he's going to add in about 20. I think he's going to go 5 for 101 or 102 and a touchdown today. That's my line on Christian Watson. So again, if that line comes out and you got him at 4,400, or you have him for anytime touchdown, or his overs in everything, you're already cashing tickets. So that's where I'm at with Christian Watson, right? Well, that's where I'm at with Christian Watson. Tony finds diamonds in the rough. Yo, Adam, you know that, bro. You know that. You know that. I always find diamonds in the rough, man. I homie digs deep. I love you. I'm always digging deep, dog. I'm always digging deep. Now, let's get back. One more. Let's get to Wan'Dale Robinson. I love Wan'Dale Robinson this week. Not just because of Jameis Winston and everybody, but again, just the way the game is going to be played. Okay, like you got to look at these over and unders of these games, and you got to think about it. That Packers game and that Giants game. That's going to be a game like I just talked about Christian Watson. There's going to be a lot of short intermediate routes, a lot of passes to go around, and I want to talk about that short intermediate route for a minute. I talked about this on Thursday. I'm going to talk about that for the audience again. This is another way I do things. Okay, it's another way I do things. And my man Javon checking in, as always. My man Javon, we get to that comment 1 second. Right, exactly. At least 4 targets, Javon. That's for Christian Watson. I mean, come on, he's very consistent, and he's not even 100% yet. He's not even 100% yet, right? So Sean's like, thoughts on Winston Robinson stack on FanDuel. I love Wan'Dale Robinson, and the only thing I may be hesitant about Jameis Winston is the long ball today because of those swirling winds. We're talking about 45 to 50 mile an hour winds. So it's going to be a little dicey out there for the long ball. And his short game is going to be on point. It's just a matter of, will the yak come out? And I want to get to the yak for a second because Javon knows this because Javon's a Philly guy. The reason why I think Wan'Dale Robinson at 5,500 is so key is Mike Kafka. Now, I read Mike Kafka. Oh, listen to me. Please understand. When I talk about this, right? When I talk about this, I specifically talk about the past of a specific coach, right? This is a guy, again, that learned under who? He's an Andy Reid disciple. Mike Kafka is an Andy Reid disciple, okay? So understand that. He's an Andy Reid disciple. He spent 2 seasons, okay, as a member of the Eagles, right? He was the 3rd string guy back then as a quarterback. But again, he was a quarterback's coach, right? In 2018 of the Kansas City Chiefs, right? He was with the team who won the Super Bowl in 2019. Right? He was also a passing game coordinator for the KC Chiefs. So understand, what has he learned? What has he learned? And I know he was the offensive coordinator. However, in the Giants, however, you even if you're the offensive coordinator, when you're behind a guy like Brian Dable, just like Dan Campbell is out there in Detroit, you're going to override a lot of things. This is now going to be Mike Kafka's ride. And what does Mike Kafka like to do? He's a West Coast offense kind of guy. A West Coast offense kind of guy. And what is West Coast offense? What do they live on? The short intermediate routes that go long. And who's going to be that guy? Wan'Dale Robinson. So for 5,500, I think you see a big uptick in targets this week because of that. And again, that's how my mind works. That's how I'm wired. That's why I like Wan'Dale Robinson for sure, 100%. I think Japan's surgical execution. Yeah, he's going to be dipping and diving for sure. Winston is probably more accurate when it's hella windy. Vegas says, yeah, he probably could be because he's on that low ball. He's just going to chuckle, man. Dude's going to throw 50 times a day. That's a fun. Like Jameis Winston's probably going to throw 50 friggin' times, dude. It's so funny, man. Like it's so funny. So I'll probably throw 50 times probably for Jameis Winston. As always, the alternative eds. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo here, brought to you by BetQL. Make sure if you go over to BetQL to use that code word Jigsaw, 15% off. Again, on the left-hand side of me, right-hand side for you probably, you'll see the promos and special deals QR code. If you scan, that's going to take you right to my Linktree account where you can get the show, the content, and obviously there's about 6 or 7 partner deals in there you can check out as well. If you have any questions, obviously let me know. Now let's get to the bets. Everybody want to get to the bets. All right, let's go with the 4-pick parlay. This is going to be a receiving parlay that we're going to throw out there. And I like these. These are all very attainable. Very, very attainable. And a Parker Washington over 4.5 is actually at plus 111 right now. Is actually plus money, right? For the plus money prop chain right now at over there. I think it was at this is on DraftKings, was plus 111. So I'm gonna go with Parker Washington over 4.5. Hold on, Vegas says, who do we call at Sirius XM to complain you're not on the air, bro? Listen, man. I don't know. Listen. I will say this, Vegas. It's not. The way it works is interesting, right? It's interesting. It's not. It's really nobody to complain to. I don't think. I don't know. Just call up on the show and say, yo, we want Tony Jigsaw Cutillo on. See what happens. Especially Sunday nights. Call up Sunday nights from 9 to 11 and be like, hey, where's Tony been? And see what you get out of that, right? See what you get out of that. Yeah. But Parker Washington over 4.5 receptions. I talked about how much I like Parker Washington. We had to throw him in a betting game right here. Christian Watson again. I mean, just again. Like Javon said, look. This is why I love it. Over 2.5. The guy's getting 4 targets per game. I think he gets an uptick to 2, which gives him at least 6 this game. Over 2.5. He can't get 3 catches. No way, man. No way. Something's got to happen for him to not get 3 catches today. I love that number. Jawan Jennings, right, with the Niners. Brock Purdy coming back. But that game is just going to be balls out right there with the Cardinals and the Niners. I think there's going to be a lot of offensive score. I know there was a lot of talk with Jawan Jennings about the contract thing holding over his head. A lot of let's get a petition to get you back on. Listen, Adam, I will say my hope. I'm going to be honest with you. Just knowing the way it goes, my hope is once football season kind of winds down, and they don't have a ton of people that could talk all sports like I do. So my hope is, I could get back on there and that, do the NBA, Major League Baseball, talk some NHL, things of that, WNBA, stuff like that. So I think that, again, I think that's where possibly I can get involved there, right? I can get involved there. But look, I'm going to be honest with you too. Like, some of this has to do with me because I want a specific spot. Right. And I'm being honest because I'm not giving up, my livelihood for 2 hours a week. Right now, if they want to pony up some big money, man, maybe it's a little different, right? But but no, I kind of want to try to do it on my terms. So I'm working on some things, right? I am working on some things. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I have a feeling we'll get somewhere soon. That's all I'm going to say. I have a feeling we're going to get somewhere soon. Besides, I'll always be here though. I'm never leaving YouTube, right? I'm never leaving this, but I think we'll be somewhere real soon. Jawan Jennings, the contract thing I think is over. I think he's finally out there trying to ball out and play. He understands nothing's going to happen. Attitude is done. Kyle probably taught them we're good. Over 3.5 against that again in that game. I mean, look, there's so many things to look at. Number one, I always look at, what's the over and under? What's the betting numbers look at right now? This is another 4 or 5 star betting game. All right. It's another 4 or 5 star betting game. And I know everybody's like, well, Ricky Purcell comes back. It's going to drop. Listen, that doesn't matter to me. This is a guy who since week 7 has been over 7+ targets a game, right? 7. Oh, you got a 5 in there against the Giants, right? But 7, 5, not like I look at volume, right? I look at volume, and he's never been under this number in those 4 weeks. He was under this number in week 6, which if I remember, it's the week he left the game early. So he's hit the over in this every single time. And again, I know that, you're going to have George Kittle back, and I know you have Pearsall back, and I know that you have Christian McCaffrey. Now everybody's going to think that he's going to kind of fade away back to a lower volume guy. Yeah, but still, if you're getting 9 targets, I just need you to get 5 in order to give me the 4. Right. So I'm good with that. I can take the drop down. So that's why I like this right here. That's why I like this number right here. And then Jordan Addison. I like that game as a whole. I talked about it. I do think that they aired us out a little more. That's another plus money bet over there. Jordan Addison over 3.5. I like the way that, again, they're going to be very focused on getting Justin Jefferson the ball, which they should. Right. Obviously, which they should. However, in this type of atmosphere, I have a feeling that there's a really good spot against that weak second tier defense at times. Not all the time, because they've been playing pretty decent, but they've had some injuries, they've had some changeover, and they've been inconsistent at times. And I look at Addison to be able, like, one thing about KOC, he loves those. How Devontae in Philadelphia does those double moves and out to the sideline routes. Jordan Addison loves those routes, right? So, and again, I'm just looking for the catches. So that's why I think 11 targets last week in Baltimore, okay? A big uptick in targets. He's had another game in Philadelphia where he had 12. Those are both teams with decent secondaries. But that means the up front, right, he's finding room within that area, which I think he'll do again this week. So that's why I like Jordan Addison at over 3.5. Now let's get the one more before we get out of here. We'll get to the touchdown. This is the touchdown parlay. I bet this was boosted. It's a 3-pick anytime touchdown parlay. Now I know Japan typed in. He says he's got Swift, Collins, Shakir, Cup. Wow, look at that jigsaw crazy parlay right there at plus 1092. Holy shit, dude, that's huge. I like get a little jigsaw crazy there. I like that. We're getting a little jigsaw crazy, right? I love hitting game long wagers. I think Watts could easily have 3 catches early. I like that. Yeah, I do too, Vegas. 100%. 100%. 3 for 3 so far in Spain. Dolphins and Commanders. 3-3 so far. Oh, yeah, 3-3, man. Oh, what a shitty game. I'm glad I'm not watching that right now. I'm glad I'm not watching that right now, man. Holy crap, dude. Like, again, I know it's early, but still, man. Like, those last week's game was great. All right, last week's game was great. I will say that. It was great because, again, I have A-Chain in that game, so I know it's only the first quarter. So what's A-Chain doing? He's doing anything in this game? Let's look at this live. We got, Mariota 5 for 5, 2 of 4 for 4. A-Chain 50 yards. A-Chain is a stud, man. Is a stud. There's my man Greg Dulcich this week, 2 for 18. He couldn't get me that last week, right? Now all of a sudden he wants to play. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Debo not doing nothing. So it looks like I gave good advice on TikTok, which is good. But look, anytime touchdown right here. Talking about Aaron Jones, I love it, love it, love it, love it. I think he gets a passing touchdown this week. Kyron Williams, you see him getting there twice last week. The Rams are starting to feature him a little more, which I like. I know Corum was involved. He's getting drives, but that's just, listen, McVay knows switching it up and is only going to help. And also, he expects to go deep into the playoffs just like he did last year. So I don't read too much in about that. I don't read too much into that at all. Kyron's still getting the bulk of the work, and he continues to get that. So I like it. I'm going to ride with my boy AJ on Blades of Fade. He said this is a T. Higgins week. That game, listen, Joe Flacco's been playing out of his mind. I just love the way that game set up. High over and under on that game. I think the over and under on that game is, what is that? Over and under on that game is 48 and a half, man. It's one of the highest. 48 and a half. So let's roll, man. Let's roll with that. 48 and a half. Now, before I go, I want to, again, just show you this app real fast. And I do it because I really think it'll help for anybody who, number one, wants to use it as leverage for their bets, and number two, likes to play DFS. Okay? So this is what I love about it. Right here, I'll show you this on the screen. Let me take this off. All right. So right here, when you sign in, look at that. You could go by, there's your games, right? And watch when you click on the high over and under. So you click on the high over and under, boom, it just goes to right those high scoring games right there. What are the top four? Boom, it lists them for you right there, which I love. Okay. And then here's the best part. You go to players, and what's going to do? It's going to give you trending players right there. Look at the trending players, right? I mean, they're all listed right there. Then you can go to each one, right? You can go to the fire report. Look at the fire report. Who's your top fire guys? Right there, right? Look at that Jacoby Brissett, 4,900, right? 4,900 Jacoby Brissett. That's what we like, okay? And then, listen, you go by, again, just go by wide receivers if you want. You go by salary, right? You go by fantasy points per money. This is a good one. Look at who's number one on fantasy points per money. Wan'Dale Robinson right there. Wan'Dale Robinson. Let me clear that up for you, right? So there's Japan's boy Khalil Shakir. So again, this is what you get. And again, you have the drop down right there. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be DraftKings, right? Maybe you're playing FanDuel, right? Look, you even have I think you have Yahoo too. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Look, maybe you're playing Yahoo. And look, now it changes to Yahoo right there. Right? Now it changes to Yahoo, different values, right? So that's what you get. And again, everything's in there. You can throw your lineup in there, save lineups, right? You have generated lineups. You have the optimizer, which is huge. Okay. Gives you what the top, look at this. All I had to do is there's their projected lineup for Yahoo. Let's go to DraftKings. What is their top projected lineup? So I'll give everybody that. Now, this is their main. Let's go their top projected lineup. So actually, we'll just stick right here on Yahoo because it's right here. So their top projected lineup right there. That's their Yahoo top projected lineup. And look who's in there. Christian Watson, right? Christian Watson. So love it. So that's what you get right there. Top projected lineup. And again, use the 15% off. Here's what you get right here. These are what going to give you your DFS value players of the week. Aaron Jones, CJ Hockenson, Davis Mills, Christian Watson, Wan'Dale Robinson. As always, thanks for everybody checking in. Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, brought to you by BetQL. Again, keep this going. We drop this once or twice a week. Make sure you're following over on all social formats, Instagram, TikTok, X, you name it. We're everywhere. Right there's your promo and special deals. Scan that QR code, whether you're a better guy, whether you're a sleeper guy, whether you're an underdog guy, and hopefully you become a BetQL guy as well. Either way, just be a Tony Jigsaw Cutillo guy right here, and we'll set you the right way. As always, everybody have a fantastic Sunday. Yep, go Birds, fly, Jigsaw, fly. I like that. Look at JD say that, fly, Jigsaw, fly. I like that. Fly, Jigsaw, fly. Might hop on later and do a might throw up a little lineup for tonight's showdown. We'll see. I used to do them on series. They were always fun. We'll see. But either way, everybody have a fantastic Sunday. Cash those tickets, cash those bets, get those people in your lineups, and go Birds.